Welcome to Bags of Power, our special holiday club for this week and next week. Today is the last video for Bags of Power before our celebration tomorrow, but a bit more about that later. This is your card for today. It is day 4, and I want to know if you managed to do the challenge on this. This was to walk along a piece of string blindfolded and try and stay on the string, which looked to be really difficult. I sent Rachel out to do this, and we're going to watch a little video of her doing that now. That looks really tricky to do. I'd love to see your videos and to see how you got on. Feel free to send them to us at social media, either through Facebook or Instagram, and we'd love to have a look at them and maybe post some up during our celebration tomorrow. But let's get into our Bible reading for today before we hear our story. Today's reading is on our card, and you can read along with me if you want. Be strong and very brave. Make sure you obey the whole law my servant Moses gave you. Do not turn away from it to the right or the left. Then you will have success everywhere you go. Never stop reading this book of the law. Day and night you must think about what it says. Make sure you do everything written in it. Then things will go well for you, and you will have great success. Here's what I am commanding you to do. Be strong and brave. Do not be afraid. Do not lose hope. I am the Lord your God. I will be with you everywhere you go. This week we've been thinking about different people who have trusted God. God's stuck up for them. God's been with them in times of trouble. And now we're going to hear Daniel's story. Daniel was in a really dangerous position, and God was there to help him through it. But Daniel had to stay brave and stay true to God. So let's watch this video and see what happened.
Daniel and the Lion's Den. It pleased Darius to appoint 120 royal rulers over his entire kingdom. He placed 3 leaders over them. One of the leaders was Daniel. The royal rulers were made accountable to the 3 leaders. Then the king wouldn't lose any of his wealth. Daniel did a better job than the other 2 leaders or any of the royal rulers. He was an unusually good and able man, so the king planned to put him in charge of the whole kingdom. The other 2 leaders and the royal rulers heard about it, so they looked for a reason to bring charges against Daniel. They tried to find something wrong with the way he ran the government, but they weren't able to. They couldn't find any fault with his work. He could always be trusted. He never did anything wrong, and he always did what he was supposed to. Finally, these men said, "We want to bring charges against this man Daniel, but it's almost impossible for us to come up with a reason to do it. If we find a reason, it will have to be in connection with the law of his God." The 2 leaders and the royal rulers went as a group to the king. They said, "King Darius, may you live forever. All the royal leaders, high officials, royal rulers, advisors and governors want to make a suggestion. We've agreed that you should give an order, and you should make sure it's obeyed. Your Majesty, here is the command you should make your people obey for the next 30 days. Don't let any of your people pray to any god or human being except to you. If they do, throw them into the lion's den. Now give the order. Write it down in the law of the Medes and the Persians. Then it can't be changed." So King Darius put the order in writing. Daniel found out that the king had signed the order. In spite of that, he did just as he had always done before. He went home to his upstairs room. Its windows opened towards Jerusalem. He went to his room 3 times a day to pray. He got down on his knees and gave thanks to his God. Some of the other royal officials went to where Daniel was staying. They saw him praying and asking God for help. They went to the king. They spoke to him about his royal order. They said, "Your Majesty, didn't you sign an official order? It said that for the next 30 days your people could only pray to you. They could not pray to anyone else, whether a god or human being. If they did, they would be thrown into the lion's den." The king answered, "The order must still be obeyed. It's what the law of the Medes and Persians requires, so it can't be changed." Then they spoke to the king again. They said, "Daniel is one of the prisoners from Judah. He doesn't pay any attention to you, your Majesty. He doesn't obey the order you put in writing. He still prays to his God 3 times a day." When the king heard this, he was very upset. He didn't want Daniel to be harmed in any way. Until sunset, he did everything he could to save him. Then the men went as a group to King Darius. They said to him, "Your Majesty, remember that no order or command you give can be changed. That's what the law of the Medes and Persians requires." So the king gave the order. Daniel was brought out and thrown into the lion's den. The king said to him, "You always serve your God faithfully, so may he save you." A stone was brought and placed over the opening of the den. The king sealed it with his own special ring. He also sealed it with the rings of his nobles. Then nothing could be done to help Daniel. The king returned to his palace. He didn't eat anything that night. He didn't ask for anything to be brought to him for his enjoyment, and he couldn't sleep. As soon as the sun began to rise, the king got up. He hurried to the lion's den. When he got near it, he called out to Daniel. His voice was filled with great concern. He said, "Daniel, you serve the living God. You always serve him faithfully. So has he been able to save you from the lions?" Daniel answered, "Your Majesty, may you live forever. My God sent his angel, and his angel shut the mouths of the lions. They haven't hurt me at all. That's because I haven't done anything wrong in God's sight. I've never done anything wrong to you either, your Majesty." The king was filled with joy. He ordered his servants to lift Daniel out of the den. So they did. They didn't see any wounds on him. That's because he had trusted in his God.
I hope you enjoyed that story, and I hope we can learn to trust God just like Daniel did. I now have a game for you, and this is a matching game. I have written down 5 words about certain topics in Daniel's story. And I want you to think about what 5 words you would relate to these items. And I want you to write them down and see how many you can match with me. So our first topic is in Daniel's house. What things could you think of that could be in Daniel's house? Well, my 5 were a prayer mat, a window, a bed, a plate, and some fruit. So if you watch the story back, you'll see all 5 of these in the video. But now you're kind of getting the hang of what we're looking for in the answers. Your answers might not be wrong. My answers aren't just the only 5 answers. There might be other things that you've spotted in the story. Next, what about in the king's bedroom? What things did you see in the king's bedroom? My 5 were pillows, cup, blankets, a wash bowl, and a crown. Next, we have in the lion's den. What could you see or find in the lion's den? Now, the den was quite smelly. So, the first one I have is poo. Then I have bones, water, dust, and flies. I wonder if you came up with anything different. I'd love to see some photos of your answers, and you can send them to us. What did Daniel thank God for in his prayer? He prayed to God thanking him, but what did he thank God for? Wonder if you can think about that. Now, my 5 were food, friends, safety, work to do, and the king. And that's really interesting because the king didn't want Daniel praying, but Daniel still prayed to God and even prayed for the king, that the king would see what was right and let people pray for God and worship him. Now, our last one. What did Daniel and the lions do during the night they were together? Can you remember what they did? Daniel told stories. Daniel sang songs. Daniel prayed. He kept away from each other, the lions and Daniel, and they slept. I don't know about you, but I would not be sleeping in a den where there were lions. I don't think I'd be that brave, but maybe you would. But Daniel had to be that brave because he knew that God was on his side and God was there to keep him safe. I hope you enjoyed that little game, and I'd love to hear if you got any matching answers or if you had any different answers. I'd love for you to get in touch and tell me. Now, before we finish, I want you to grab your card again. I want you to look at the last couple of lines in our verse. Be strong and brave. Do not be afraid. Do not lose hope. I am the Lord your God. I will be with you everywhere you go. And now, today's a special day, or yesterday, I'm recording this on Wednesday. And it's a special day because lockdown has eased a bit. We get to go out a bit more, maybe go and eat out in a restaurant, or go out for a nice walk. But just remember that God will still be with you. This isn't just for coronavirus, this isn't just during isolation. God is always with us, no matter where we are or what we're doing. Now let's bow our heads and close our eyes and say a quick prayer. Thank you, God, that you were with Daniel. Thank you, God, that you are with us. Help us to be strong and brave and not to be afraid or lose hope. Amen. Now, tomorrow we'll be having a special Zoom celebration and I'll be emailing out instructions to parents of how to join that. If you don't want to join the Zoom celebration, the plan is to live stream it on Facebook as well. So if you don't want to join the Zoom call, you can still watch it on Facebook. And any parents or children wanting to join the Zoom call should just be aware of that we will be streaming it to Facebook as well. If you have any issues, my email address is at the bottom of the screen and you can email me and get in touch with any queries or questions. But I hope to see lots of you there tomorrow, and I hope to see lots of you having fun and singing with us and joining us for the end of Bags of Power. There's still a little bit of time, the end of today, to sign up for our next bags, which are Bags of Hope, and they will be getting delivered out this weekend. And then we are keeping the third bag a secret, and that will come out during the October holidays. So we hope that you can join us for that, and I hope that you can join us tomorrow on Zoom or on Facebook. Goodbye.